Hello and welcome back to Serendipity Intended. My name is JJJan and I'm so glad you're here. It is time for another Junk Journal January page from the challenge, and this is my daily journal, which is what I decided to do this challenge in. So I'm going to take it out of the cover just because it's easier to work with, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So if we open up to the page with the prompts on it, we can see day 5, which is today, is echo. And when I think of echo, I think of things repeating and maybe getting lighter and lighter and lighter as they are fainter or more faint as time goes by. So I'm going to kind of play with that idea and go ahead. Again, because I'm using a daily journal, I am doing these sequentially. And this is the page that I did yesterday. And day 5 is opposite. And I think because the prompt is echo, I am going to echo on this side of the page what is happening over on this side of the page. And I'm going to do that in terms of color and also in terms of images. So I have a few things here, and normally I'm going to probably be undoing this, but I thought what I would do is just echo colors. So I'm going to echo this red that is here, and I'm actually going to do that in part with this little birdie, which was on this image originally, and I tore it off because I didn't want to use it. I think it was about, I don't know, here maybe. So I'm going to remove or use this bird over here as one way to kind of echo those colors. I am going to come back in on this page and make that red just a little bit more saturated in some spots so that the color is super obvious. So then we'll have the kind of red echoed throughout. And then I'm also going to echo some of the elements. But what I thought was, since each time you have an echo, it becomes fainter and fainter. And I thought, how could I do that on a page? And I thought, well, one way to do that is for color to disappear. So I had in my scrap bowl, and I am trying to do as many of these prompts as I can with my scrap bowl just to get the number of scraps down. I had this piece of wrapping paper, and it is also a landscape, and it has many of the same elements as this. It has some bare trees, it has some evergreen trees, it has a branch across here, and it also has a little bit of a house, which looks kind of like this house. And of course, there's snow, just like there is here. So, but this is largely without color. So I thought it kind of felt a little bit like an echo of what was happening on this page. So I'm going to start with this and then just kind of see where that takes me. So I think I'm going to use this edge. I'm going to go right along here, maybe tear some of this off because I've got this really icky tear here. So I think I'm going to start with bringing that like this. And I do like this here, but I also feel like maybe it distracts a little bit from what's going on here. So what I have to do is figure out how far do I take this. And I think I want to bring it, I want to lose the girl and probably some of that, yeah, a little bit like that. And then I do want to keep this tree so that I have this echoed. I think I am going to lose this little bit here, so we'll just tear it so that it's like that. And so yeah, we've got that little bit of that. And then I thought maybe I could include the bird here. So I guess I'm kind of doing a little bit of collage. I also thought, just because I liked the texture, that maybe I could take a piece of this paper and somehow include that, maybe just layer it on here, just to, I don't like the pond. Or maybe minimize the pond a little bit. So I think as a little bit of a base layer, I'm not loving that piece. Let me try. Okay, I feel like that works a little bit better. I just don't want this edge to be quite so straight. So maybe like that. I'm not 100% sold on this here. I thought I really wanted this torn paper, but maybe what I need to do is, there we go. I do want that torn paper. I just want it behind instead of in front. Yeah. Okay, so that is working for me. And I'm not leaving myself a whole lot of room to journal, but I'm feeling like that's okay. Maybe I'll tear, because I still want to minimize this pond a little bit. Maybe I'll tear a little bit more off here. Yeah, I think that works a little better. I don't want this to be completely without color, and I don't want the bird to be the only thing. So I'm trying to use up scraps, and I've ended up making more. The struggle is real. I do need a focal point, and I thought maybe I could echo some of the green. I had this piece of paper in my stash, which I feel like pulls some of the greens in, and I also have this Thinlits die cut, so I thought maybe I could just echo some of the little plants here with this. It's not really Christmassy. I originally was thinking maybe evergreen, but that felt a little too Christmassy. This feels a little less Christmassy, so I'm gonna go with this die cut. I've moved my journal out of the way. I've brought my die cut machine in so that I can use it. I'm going to get the die that I want, which is this one, out of the package, and tuck the others back in here. And then put the die down, and I'm going to put it over to the side so I use as little of the paper as possible. Lay my paper down, and then just run this through. Quick and easy. Bring it out the other side, and oh, here we go. All right, let me put this away off my desk, and I will be right back. So if you don't remember, I have not yet glued anything down. So it's all just here. I've got my die cut, which I'm going to finish removing from the paper. She is fairly delicate, and I really kind of love that on there quite a bit. I think we need one more little bit of a layer, and I'm gonna go just thinking about my inspiration, or not my inspiration, my mood board. I was trying to think of what I could add in here. And so I was considering maybe some text, like book page. That's certainly an option. Tear a piece of that off. So that might work. Just a little bit, maybe tucked in behind here. And that would also hide that pond. So I am liking that. The other thing I was thinking was maybe not just to repeat the green, but also to repeat the gray. And I have this tag, so I thought maybe I could also somehow layer this tag in. It's got a little bit of the brown, so there's still some color, but not a lot. And so I like this. I think it's interesting. The one challenge that I have is that it's not connecting to the bird. So maybe if I lower this down, I think the tag needs to be behind. Maybe like so. It feels a little messy. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this off for the moment and get it out of the way. And I'm going to glue this down so that it's not scooching around, and then take it from there. So I'm just going to use my glue stick to do that. And this point here is also bugging me, so I'm gonna just tear that off a little bit. This is just wrapping paper, so it's pretty thin, which is good. It's January and this journal's got to last me all year. I don't want it gator mouthing too early, because I still have to be able to write in it all year. Oh my goodness, let me turn it this way. There we go. Is that flat on the other side? Yep. Okay, so I have that, and then I do think I'm pretty committed to this piece. I think I had it like so. Let me think here. I think it was maybe like this. And then I had that this way, and then yeah, I think I'm okay with this piece here. I'm gonna grab my pencil, and I'm just gonna, because I won't be able to see that, I'm gonna trace so I know where that little divot goes when I put it back in. So this is that paper that things come, like when you send something, you wrap it. It's that kind of paper. So it's also fairly thin, but I just love how wrinkly it is. So it adds a lot of visual interest with the texture, but it's not, it's really, really thin, which is fantastic. Okay, so I think the other thing that's bugging me about this lovely little bird is that the edges are cut. So I don't want to lose this, but I also don't want it to be quite so rigid, so I'm gonna distress the edges a bit to minimize, I don't want to lose this color, but to minimize that just a tad. There, that works for me. And then he can go there. And then it's just really a matter of figuring out how to connect all of these other bits and pieces together. I do think I want the tag, maybe like so. And then the evergreen like that. Okay, that works for me. Okay, so again, we'll mark really lightly where that goes and take that off. And we'll mark a little bit where that goes. Oopsie. And then we'll mark where that goes so that we can kind of layer everything back on. This is a little bit thicker. So instead of the Yoo-hoo, I am going to use a little bit of my art glitter glue, just because I know these pages are going to get turned a lot. And I feel like this thicker paper will stick and stay stuck a little better if I use the art glitter glue. So there's that. I am going to use the glue stick on this book page because it's not only fairly thin, it's also pretty flexible. And glue that back down, and then my little bird. And that's also just regular paper. So I think I'll be fine just to, got a little bit of glue on the front of that. Glue that down. Okay. Now I am, because this is so delicate, I'm afraid if I use the glue stick on it, I'm going to end up tearing it. So on this, I am going to use the art glitter glue, not so much because I need the extra adhesion, but because this is so delicate and the nozzle on the glue lets me be much more precise with where I put glue, and it won't pull up like the glue stick would and risk tearing these really delicate pieces. Okay, so now, so I can do this without getting all of the glue on myself. I think right there, and we'll let that be like so. Okay, I am overall pretty happy with my little collage here and the way that it is echoing some of the things on the other page, but yet it's also itself. I do think that I want to find a sentiment to add maybe in this space down here. So I'm going to take a quick look at my ideology small talk quotes and see what I can come up with. So I'm going to look at that off camera, and then I'll come back as soon as I found what I want to use. All right, I have found it. I was looking through and I had a couple of ideas, but then I saw this, always take the scenic route. And I thought that that phrase also sort of helped tie the two pages together, and it kind of fit with both. So I'm going to kind of put the two of those together, or this together, and make a page. And I think I'm going to cut it. Always take the scene. Yeah, I'm going to cut. Or do I do take the scenic route and then always? I'm not sure. Let me do it this way. I'll separate it and I'll see, do I like it this way? That works for me. I don't want to overthink this. I'm gonna go ahead and put it down. All right. And so here, oh, maybe not quite so close. And then there. Okay. And that works. And then the last thing that I want to do to kind of echo on this page, what I did on the previous page, I did some sketching, some drawing with my micron, my 005 micron, and I'm going to do the same thing. Not so much drawing something, but doing that same sort of really light line and just highlighting the words that I've chosen here just a little bit to make them stand out. And yeah, again, fairly simple, and I think that's okay. But that is my page for today. I hope you enjoyed watching. I definitely enjoyed creating, and I will see you again next time. Until then, I hope that you make a great day. Bye.